Hello, my name is Jonathan Platt and I represent the J.M. Martinac Shipbuilding Corporation. In previous videos, I've told you about the problems of building new ferries to replace the 80-year-old ferries still in service with the Washington State ferry system. Ferries that do not meet United States Coast Guard regulations. Ferries that are the oldest in North America. The Department of Transportation, the agency that runs the ferry system, has been unwilling to build new ferries that the legislature told them to build in 2001. In 2003, after the DOT spent 2 years deciding on the correct size of the new ferries, the legislature appropriated $285 million to build the ferries. The DOT proceeded to spend $50 million of that money, and still construction has not been started on any ferries. Last year, the legislature was forced to appropriate millions more for the construction of ferries that should have been started 6 years ago. Yes, the DOT has created the Bermuda Triangle of budgets, where money disappears and ships are never seen. Today, I would like to talk about a solution that will start building new ferries now. I have a resolution introduced by the Puget Sound Metal Trades Council. The council is made up of representatives of each of the 11 unions that work in union yards throughout this state and the country. These highly skilled craftsmen and women have taken the time to put down their torches and tools and pick up a pen and come up with an idea that makes sense. Their idea is that since the only 2 shipyards qualified by the state to build the new ferries are union yards, and since we have all waited over 6 years to replace ferries that are 20 years older than the viaduct, why don't we get started in both yards building the ferries now? To that end, the council came to J.M. Martinac and asked if we would be willing to share our $2.5 million design, the design that will keep the schedule and go into all the terminals, as they are today, including Keystone. The design that will meet the highest standards of safety, the design that will give the ridership and the taxpayer efficient, reliable, and comfortable ferries at a fair price, the design that J.M. Martinac will take full responsibility for in order to guarantee that what I just said is true. We said yes. J.M. Martinac thinks that the unions have the answer. Their plan will create not 300 but 600 family wage jobs in King and Pierce counties and replace the old ferries in about half the time. And time is not on our side because, according to the DOT, as of right now, half the fleet is obsolete. J.M. Martinac is not the only one who thinks the unions have a good solution. Many organizations have signed on to support the resolution. Unions such as Aerospace Machinists and SPIA, which represent Boeing workers, have signed on. Members of the AFL-CIO, Pierce and King County Labor Councils, and 19 members from both the Washington State House and Senate have signed on. Congressman Norm Dix has signed on. The Washington Council of Police and Sheriffs, who are tasked with protecting the ferries and their riders, have signed on. 3 major environmental organizations, Citizens for a Healthy Bay, People for Puget Sound, and Audubon, have signed on. There are many more. This plan will build quality ferries at a fair price. The governor and the legislature will see to that. As I asked in the first video, who do you believe? Well, a lot of people believe that the union resolution is the right way to go, and so do we. At the end of this presentation, you will see a copy of the resolution and a list of its supporters. Thank you, and let's build boats.
A resolution from the Puget Sound Metal Trades Council to Governor Christine Gregoire dated August 16, 2005. Dear Governor Gregoire, whereas the Puget Sound Metal Trades Council is aware of a ferry design by J.M. Martinac Shipbuilding Corporation of Tacoma to the state of Washington that meets the requirements of the legislation passed on May 9, 2001, for the construction of new ferries and meets or exceeds the safety requirements as outlined by the Washington State Ferry System on December 3rd for a 130-car, 1,200-passenger ferry. And whereas the Puget Sound Metal Trades Council declares that the continued service by Washington State ferries of 5 vessels built more than 70 years ago is not wise and could be considered dangerous given the fact that they do not meet United States Coast Guard safety requirements. And whereas the Puget Sound Metal Trades Council further declares that efforts to replace the vessels must be accomplished in a timely manner to protect the traveling public from the vagaries of aging vessels and the need to upgrade shipboard security to counter the current and escalating terrorist threat. And whereas, in the interest of accelerating the construction process of these ferries, retiring the 78-year-old ferries currently in service with the Washington State Ferry System and putting union members to work in King and Pierce counties, J.M. Martinek Shipbuilding Corporation has agreed to share the design of these ferries with Todd Pacific Shipyards, the only other shipyard qualified to build ferries for the state of Washington. Therefore be it resolved, in the interest of the safety of the traveling public and the creation of living wage jobs, the Puget Sound Metal Trades Council supports the ferry design and the accelerated construction of these ferries at J.M. Martinek Shipbuilding Corporation and Todd Pacific Shipyards.